Thousands of delegates are beginning to gather in Chicago ahead of the Democratic National Convention, which is getting underway in the next few hours. The four-day event will see Kamala Harris formally accept the party's nomination to be the presidential candidate, following President Biden's withdrawal from the race last month. Activists are buoyed by poll numbers that show her having wiped out the clear lead that her Republican rival Donald Trump had established. But there are concerns that divisions over the war in Gaza could undermine party unity. Well, this is the scene at the venue where security is obviously very, very tight ahead of this four-day event getting underway. Don't be fooled by that relatively quiet scene there at the minute. This is going to be jam-packed later. Lots of noise as the delegates file in to see Democratic Party royalty, I think it's safe to say. And we can cross now to my colleague Katrina Perry, BBC chief presenter in the US, who's in Chicago for the convention, who can tell us more about that. Yes, Democratic Party royalty definitely appearing at this event, along with celebrities. There's going to be a lot of razzmatazz around this, isn't there?
There really is, Anita, and royalty is a good way of putting it, actually, because at this convention, there will be three presidents speaking. We'll hear from President Joe Biden tonight. We'll hear from former President Barack Obama tomorrow night. We'll hear from former President Bill Clinton on Wednesday night. And then we'll hear from the person that this party will hope will be the next president, Kamala Harris, on Thursday night. So they really are bringing out all the big guns. Excuse me. We'll also hear from the current First Lady and two past First Ladies, in Michelle Obama and Hillary Clinton, and the current Second Gentleman, Doug Emhoff, who hopes to become the country's first gentleman should Kamala Harris win the election. And it's just 78 days out from the election, which it feels like this campaign has been running for a very long time, and in many ways it has. But of course there was that reset just a month ago with the change at the top of the ticket for the Democratic Party. And that has changed what's happening at the convention here as well, because ordinarily these conventions, they have a roll call, which is all these delegates from the various states around the country who are very hard-working volunteers, party faithful, who come to these conventions and they cast votes based on the result of the primary competitions in their states for their candidate who becomes the nominee. Now, of course, this year for the Democratic Party, Kamala Harris didn't win any primary elections. They were all won by Joe Biden. And we've had this very unusual set of circumstances, further compounded by the fact that the Democratic Party decided to hold that roll call virtually a couple of weeks ago. So she is in fact already the official Democratic Party nominee, and what's happening here is basically her formal acceptance of that. Although for the sake of that razzmatazz that you're talking about, the party has said that they will hold a celebratory roll call. So we'll hear from all the delegates from the states where they stand up but at the little microphones dotted around the arena here, and they pledge officially their delegates for Kamala Harris. Now, we've just found out the running order, the speaking order for tonight, and I can tell you that the Vice President herself, Kamala Harris, will be making remarks tonight. That was unexpected. That's something that's just been confirmed by the party recently. We'll also hear the main speaker tonight is Joe Biden. Tonight is very much being billed as a farewell to Joe Biden, a handing on of the torch from him to her. And there's a tribute to him. There's some videos that will be played. We'll hear from some of his really closest friends, like Delaware Senator Chris Coons. We'll hear from Jill Biden, and we'll hear from Joe Biden himself. And this is the only night that he'll be here. He'll then leave Chicago, and we won't see him for the rest of the week. Again, that's slightly unusual, but everything about this cycle is unusual so far.
Absolutely, Katrina. And will we get much on policy vision, policy direction from Kamala Harris? Because that's been one of the criticisms so far, hasn't it, that we perhaps haven't had that sort of detail from her. She hasn't sat down for a really big forensic interview with anyone yet.
That's it, exactly, Anita. And that's what we would be planning to expect to hear from her anyway on Thursday night when she delivers the final keynote address on Thursday. In terms of what we'll hear tonight, we can get indications of the policies that she may include in her address on Thursday, because again, just in the running order that we've just received, there are 13 different kind of segments that the Democratic Party are hoping to hit on tonight. Everything from reproductive rights to the economy, to a section on workers' workers' rights. We're going to hear from Sean Fain, who is the head of the UAW, the United Auto Workers Union, who had, of course, endorsed Joe Biden and now Kamala Harris. Very important union in terms of the auto plants that are in Wisconsin, Michigan and Pennsylvania. Really must-win battleground states for Kamala Harris. We'll hear from that. There's a section, interestingly, that they're calling fact-checking on Donald Trump. They're going to play a video that relates to Project 2025, which is that conservative... Sorry, we're just having a few incidents here. There's still last-minute preparations going on, banging and hammering here ahead of what we're expecting later. But yeah, we'll have something on that Project 2025, which is a conservative platform that Donald Trump has sought to distance himself from, but nevertheless lays out a lot of policies that many in his party would like to see under another Donald Trump administration. Lots of star-studded action tonight as well, and we'll hear from Tony Golden, who people might know played the president in the Scandal TV series. So art imitating life, imitating art a little here. OK, Katrina, for the moment, thank you very much. We'll leave you for the moment as those preparations go on inside the centre there for the convention. And let's just take you outside the centre where the Democratic National Convention is going on, because there are some protests related to the situation in Gaza taking place, which we were telling you about in a bit more detail last hour. And a big focus on what Kamala Harris might say over the next 4 days about the situation in the Middle East. Officially, we're hearing there's no difference in policy between her and Joe Biden. But let's see what she says. As Katrina was saying last hour, Chicago, home to one of the biggest populations of people from the Middle East in the United States.